bad. I like when you go.
Let's try some of these quick ones. Number 1, time traveled. How long will it take a car to travel 400 miles? So that's distance, rate, or time.
Distance.
Good. At an average rate of 50 miles per hour. So the rate is 50 miles per hour, and the distance is 400, and we want to find time. So your equation, distance equals rate times time, we can just plug and chug. The distance is 400. I'm just going to eliminate since these are the same. Actually, I'll put the units in so you can see how that works. The distance is 400 miles. The rate is 50 miles per hour, and the time we don't know, so I'll write t. If I divide 50, if I divide both sides by 50, notice what happens to the units. So I've got t by itself, right, which is what I want to do. I want to solve for t. And what happens to the units? Well, do you remember what you do when you divide? Remember what you do when you're dividing by a fraction? Remember the rule?
Wait, so that's considered a fraction?
Miles over hours is a fraction.
Okay.
Remember how you divide by miles over hours? You flip it and multiply it. So it becomes 400 divided by 50 miles times hours per mile. And I'm just showing you that because you'll see that the units take care of themselves. The miles cancel out and you're left with hours, which is your time.
Okay.
And 400 divided by 50
9
is just 8.
Oh, 8, sorry.
8 hours. All right, let's try number 2. The distance traveled if a train travels at 50 or 80 miles per hour for 15 minutes. Let's clear this. Whoops. Let's undo that. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to clear some we'll just do it here. That was number 1. Here's number 2. So 80 miles per hour is what?
Distance.
It's your rate, miles per hour.
Oh, okay, sorry, yeah.
So your rate is 80
I don't know why I said distance.
miles
Sorry.
per hour, right? Well, you probably heard miles.
Yeah.
For 15 minutes. So your time is 15 minutes. Now here's the trick. Minutes and hours are different, so I have to convert it.
Okay.
Always convert it, and then the units will take care of themselves. So 15 minutes, convert that to hours, is how many hours? If you can just do it in your head, just do it in your head. If you can't, if you don't know how to do that, just use a conversion. 15 minutes, there's 60 minutes for every 1 hour. This is stoichiometry and chemistry. So the minutes cancel, and you're left with hours, right? So what's 15 divided by 60? It's 1/4 or 0.25. So it's 0.25 hours, or a quarter of an hour. Okay, so do you understand why I had to convert it? Because now I can just use these distance equals rate times time. I'm going to multiply 80 miles per hour times 0.25 hours, or 1/4 of an hour. It might be better to write 1/4 in this case because that's actually easy to work with 80. Dividing by 4 is the same as dividing by 2 twice. So take half of 80 twice, 40, 20. So that becomes, notice the hours cancel, and it becomes 20 miles.
Okay.
Number 3, investing. If a person invests that much, now notice this is not a distance, rate times time. This is an investment question. If a person invests $500 at 2% simple interest for 4 years, how much interest is earned? So this simple interest is just every year you'll get 2%. So 500 is what you're starting with. I'm down here in the corner. This is number 3. $500 is what you're starting with, and every year you're increasing by 2%, which means you need to multiply it by 1.02%.
Why is that? Why is there 1 at the front?
Because if you don't multiply it by 1, you're only going to get the amount of interest you get, not the amount of money you have left. Actually, hold on. How much interest is earned? Never mind. They asked how much interest is earned. So in this case, you do just multiply it by 0.02. But usually, a lot of times they'll ask, like, how much money is left.
Okay.
And that's when you want to multiply it by.
Oh, 1 at the front?
Yeah, with the 1, because really you're getting 102% of your money.
Right. Okay,
This
that
is
makes
just
sense.
2% of your money, but you're getting it 4 years. So you're going to do that 4 times, which is another way to write that is with exponents
To the fourth, yeah.
to the 4th power. And so then just multiply that out in your calculator. Do it carefully, 0.02 to the 4th, and then times 500. You make sure you're using either parentheses or you're careful with it. And go ahead and do that. Check that. Yeah, what you do have to do, I knew that I was thinking that it wasn't going to give me the right answer. Giving you that is kind of like saying, what's 2%? You're actually not adding. Doing this isn't going to give you the right answer. I don't want to confuse it by explaining it. You really do need the 1 in there.
Okay.
And when you put the 1 in there, what that does is it gives you 102% of 500 the first year, but then when you multiply it by it again, it gives you 102% of that new number, $510.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you multiply it by 1.02 again, it gives you 110% of that new number.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's called compounding interest. So it's compounding the more you do it. So you have to do it like that, and that'll give you the answer of 541.22 if you round it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you subtract out the 500 to get your interest amount, which is $41.22.